So over the last few days, everybody and their cousin started talking about Clawdbot, or what it is now, Moltbot. And as I naturally tend to do when I hear something like this, is to go to YouTube and search for the keyword. And whenever I see titles and thumbnails like the following: Clawdbot runs my business while I sleep, how I use Clawdbot to run my business and life 24/7, I can't stop using Clawdbot, and especially a word content creators have been using lately to farm views, the word insane. I've seen it a lot lately. When I see any of these things, my brain goes into I don't believe this crap mode. Especially in the AI space, everything is getting overhyped. And so I decided to dig into this and see what's actually going on behind the scenes. Because with any technology, you have to take things with a pinch of salt, especially with content creators. But yeah, I dug in, I've used it for a bit, and I found some things whilst using it and online that you should be aware of before even running it yourself. So I'm just gonna go through it in this video. I'm gonna take you through what it is, how to run it, and the concerns that you should be aware of. And I'll give you my honest opinion about it. So yeah, let's dive right in. So just to make it clear, this product was not made by Anthropic. And the reason it changed names from Clawdbot to Moltbot is because Anthropic sent a cease and desist letter because the name sounded really similar to one of their flagship products, Claude. And yeah, it's a personal AI assistant that you can host yourself either by running it locally or on your own server. And it's open source as well, so you can see the source code. And it's capable of taking real actions and not just answering questions. Well, that for me is just an AI agent, okay? And we'll be covering AI agents, connections to chat applications for some time already. I'd say 1.5 years already. So just to let you know, this is not life-changing technology, as some people are claiming for farming views. So if you go to their site, you see that they claim it is an AI that actually does things. Well, there's a lot of AIs that do things, and they're called AI agents. They can connect to, for example, NCPs or APIs and do stuff for you like scheduling and managing calendars. As you've seen in this channel, I've done some of them with N8N and some other tools, but this one is just using code. I'm not saying this it's not impressive, but I'm just telling you that it's not life-changing technology and something you should be hyping about. But yeah, it will be worth going through Twitter right now to show you some honorable mentions on posts regarding Clawdbot. So this guy set up Clawdbot to text my wife good morning and good night every day. Also casual how are you messages, 24 hours. It was having full-on conversations without me being involved. I don't see any added value to a application like this, but we'll keep going. This one, it's great when you mix it with trading and crypto. It gets very interesting. I think some of them have to be satire. I hope they are. One traded on Polymarket and apparently mentioned that it went up to a profit of 380,000. I think we're farming here for views, but that's fine if that's your strategy. My Clawdbot lives in a Mac. It asked it to create an animated face for itself, and it did it. So okay, great. You tell me the use case for this. Clawdbot is insane, and it just goes into saying, not elaborating anymore, just saying how to set it up and probably sell your course. No issues with that. If that's how you roll. One in Mandarin. Spanish detected. I see. I love how some people in Twitter have some humor around it. It's gone viral for, yep, I'm gonna just keep going with that one. And yeah, for example, the most important video you'll watch this year, your own 24/7 AI employee. Yeah, okay, you get the idea. You get the idea. I just bought 40 Mac Minis. I do think this is a psyop for people to buy Mac Minis, because that's all I see. You don't need a Mac Mini to run Clawdbot. That's the funny thing about it. So I don't know why people are obsessing over this. And I've seen some other videos on YouTube saying that, this video has inspired them to buy a Mac Mini. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing? But yeah, Clawdbot is AGI. Great. And this is part of what I wanted to talk to you here, some of the security concerns. And so if you want to run Clawdbot, the way to do this is, well, if you can do it locally, by either running it on your local machine, which I absolutely do not recommend, because then if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to give it access to all of your local files, and yeah, you don't want that. You can run it via Docker, it's what I'm doing myself. And if you don't know what Docker is, you can search it up, but it essentially allows you to run Clawdbot on an isolated environment, so it doesn't have direct access to your files. And the second way and main way in which I am seeing most people running Clawdbot in is using a virtual private server or a VPN. VPS. And you might be thinking, well, why use a VPS when I can just run it locally like I have? Well, there's a couple of advantages. The first one is that with a VPS, you get a dedicated machine that is always on. So if you host Clawdbot on a VPS, well, it's going to be able to run 24/7. And well, the advantage with that is that if you're running a background job or a daily brief, for example, every day, you're going to get that daily brief versus if you're relying on your local machine, well, you might want to turn your laptop off every now and then. And if you do, well, Clawdbot is going to stop working. And yeah, aside from that, there's other advantages. For example, you are able to change the number of CPUs, the power, right? If you need more power, let's say you are hosting an app on a VPS, well, you're able to just up the power whenever you need to versus on a local, if you're running it on your desktop, it's a bit harder to add a CPU there, right? It's a bit harder, it's a bit longer. And yeah, with a VPS, you can just do it on demand. You can just add as many CPUs as you want, as much storage as you want as well. So you get full control over that. And if I had to recommend one, honestly, it's going to be Hostinger's VPS because it's one that I personally use for my own projects. It's pretty cheap as well, and it's really easy to set up, okay? So I'll leave a link to how to set up the VPS with Hostinger on the link below. There's an issue though, and there's an issue with VPSs. It's that you have a publicly available URL, okay, which bad actors can access. So aside from the link on how to set up the VPS and, OpenClaw or Clawdbot with that VPS, I'm also gonna leave you a security hardening guide that Hostinger has prepared, which is specifically relevant given on what I'm gonna show you next in the video. In order for you to understand the issue properly with all this, I am going to take you through the setup, at least how I set it up. So before I showed you the different ways in which you can get Moltbot running. So I'm using Docker. And in order for you to do this, you need to install Docker Desktop. That's how I recommend it. So you go to the site, install Docker Desktop for Mac. And once you have that, make sure to set it up. And then you would need the code, right? The code base for Clawdbot. And the code base lives in something called GitHub. It's essentially a repository where you can upload code for your projects and so on. So they renamed it again, actually, as we're speaking, OpenClaw. And yeah, they changed the name. So before it was Moltbot, now they changed it again to OpenClaw. I don't know what is up with all these name changes. But yeah, anyways, we are pulling this code base locally, right, into our IDE or our code editor. It's the same thing. So we essentially git clone. We git clone the GitHub repository, right, where Moltbot lives. And then we are CDing into the right folder so then we can run it. So you'll run the setup. So make sure you are in the Moltbot folder and then you set up the Docker container. And then you should have something like this running, okay? So after this, you should have this running. And you see here that this thing called Moltbot gateway is running. And this is essentially the control UI. So, you can connect Moltbot or Clawdbot to chat applications, right? Such as WhatsApp or Telegram. So here's Telegram and I'm talking to it. I'm just starting the setup over here. We're gonna do a little bit more testing and see what it's capable of to get an unbiased view. You can either talk to it through Telegram or WhatsApp or whatever, or you can chat to it via the main UI, which you can access through the browser. And this is allowing that. It's allowing it for us to run on the browser on a nice little UI. So I'm going to show you that real quick. You can see that it's currently disconnected because we need to add the gateway token. And yeah, we're given this when we go through the setup over here in Clawdbot. So after you do this, then you need to run the setup. I think there's a separate command for that. Let's have a look. Yeah, so you need to run something like onboard no install daemon. But if you're curious or you get stuck on the details on how to set this up, as soon as you clone the repository from GitHub, you can start asking the code base, right? With either Cursor or with Claude Code, whatever you're using. You can say, well, how can I go through the onboarding? It will give you the right commands and so on. But yeah, once you complete the onboarding wizard, which I can show you over here, see how much I can show you. Right, so we go through all of this, right? So it starts by saying, I understand this is powerful and risky. Great to know. I go through the quick start onboarding mode, and then it tells you the gateway port. And security wise, like this is something that you want to change. People don't change it, and this port gets exposed publicly. And there's so many people with the same port, and I explain this in a bit. But yeah, that's one thing that you should change. And yeah, you need to add a gateway token for sure. So I think it's already added automatically. I see that I added the API key, which is something I'm going to delete as soon as you see the video. But yeah, essentially you go through the setup. In this case, I decided to use Telegram as you see here, but at the same time, you can use the chat interface over here. I'll connect it real soon. I'm gonna add the gateway token. Let's do that. Right, so I asked Cursor to give me the gateway token so I can access the control panel fully. So you can do it, you can connect it by adding the gateway token and then hitting connect, or you can ask it to give you the tokenized URL, which is essentially a URL with the token attached at the end. It serves the same purpose. It's just at the end of the URL, kind of add the key, and then it will give you access. But once you're in, you can chat with it, you can do all sort of things, and people, you know, customize the crap out of it. Yeah, I wonder what exactly you can use this for, apart from research and apart from giving you information every day, reliably, I would say. I mean, sure, you can ask it to take actions, but I'm definitely not going to ask something like this to perform actions on my behalf autonomously, especially when it comes to sending emails and stuff like that. So yeah, you can do all these sorts of things. You can connect it to 1Password, you can connect it to Gemini, GitHub, all sorts of things. Again, the use cases for me seem slightly limited. Right, so you can go to config, you can do debug, whatever. But yeah, I started to chat with it a bit. I connected it to my Telegram, and first of all, it was asking for me where's my time zone? I said my time zone is Madrid. It said that, well, it must be definitely 10:43 a.m. now. It's 5:20. So I don't think we're close to AGI, guys. I think we got some time left still. Especially this is, yeah, I don't think this is AGI at all. Just to confirm with you guys. But yeah, I would say it's not useless at all. As I said, it's able to send you daily briefs. That's the only real use case that I see with this, because as I said, again, I'm not gonna rely on something like this to perform actions for me autonomously 24/7 like some creators say they're doing it for. But yeah, I asked it to, which I thought it was cool, to send me a daily brief with some of the channels over here, right? Shout out to Sabrina and AI Explain a World of AI, top creators that I admire. And yes, just send me like some videos that are trending just in general in the AI space. And yeah, I asked it to send me a cron job every morning on Telegram. So this should send me every day at 9 a.m. It should send me a list with the latest videos, right? The trending videos at that moment in that morning. So I guess this is useful, but yeah, I mean, this is a way. I mean, you see on X, but yeah, you see people using Clawdbot for use cases that are everything but not making money. So research or tips and tricks and figuring out your consciousness style, which for me is not useful. I don't know if for any of you are useful, but yeah, if it's not making me money or anything, or driving me some sort of scam, I'm not really interested. So yeah, so for me, the only use case for this is for daily briefs. Feel free to let me know in the comments if you find any other use case that you think is worth using it for. But once again, if I'm using it for daily briefs, why can't I just set an n8n automation or build a script in Claude Code for it to do this for me, and I avoid the security concerns with this, which made me realize that I didn't discuss this. So let me show you. This is called Shodan, and this is a repository that shows you all the IPs that are publicly available, and you can search this by keywords. And this keyword here, Clawdbot control, is what is shown in all of the dashboards, in all of the UI dashboards that you see over here. It's represented as a piece of text in the code that you see here on the UI. Okay, it's somewhere. And by typing Clawdbot control on the search tab over here, you can see all the publicly available IPs that are currently using Clawdbot control panel. So you can essentially click any of these, access the IPs, and in some interesting way, which I'll show you now from a Twitter post, you can access someone's device and personal files through this by doing something called a reverse proxy. So yeah, that's how easy it is to break into somebody's device, you know. So this is essentially what I want you guys to avoid. You can also see the number of ports that are being used. So everybody apparently is using port 443 and some other ones as well. So this is what I was saying about changing the port numbers. This is one way, because I mean, if you're using the same port that everybody's using, then obviously you're an easy target because you're using a typical port. So by changing the port you're accessing your UI from, that's a way to avoid getting hacked quickly. At least it gives you some time to breathe and figure out the next step. So yeah, this is the Twitter article that I was talking about, this legend called Jamie Summer Riley. So yeah, this is what I was telling you about. In all the control panels, you have the title in the HTML Clawdbot control. So that's why you're able to search it on Shodan that easily. You can query this as you saw in Shodan, and then you can go through stuff that I'm not going to tell you about, because then this video might get either demonetized or banned. But yeah, believe me that in this tweet and some other research that this guy has done, you can get into the devices of people by just checking out the site and going deep into the HTTP responses. Okay, so this is why I'm telling you, be very careful. And yeah, I'm gonna tell you a few things that you can do in order to avoid getting into issues like the one my friend over here, Jamieson, has surfaced. So in order to make this fuckery a bit safer, you can do a few of the things here. So as I said, you can choose a random port number, not the usual 8080 or 3000 or the ones that you see on Shodan. Make sure to set a gateway authentication password. Make sure it's not blank. So whenever you go in, you're prompting, the control dashboard is prompting you to type in a password. So I'm not saying the gateway token, I'm talking about the password, okay? This just adds an extra level of security. So make sure through Claude Code or Cursor, you ask it to type in a password. I mean, you can actually just add it here directly. You don't need Cursor. Make sure to also update Clawdbot to the latest version, especially if you're running locally, because if you're running it locally, yeah, it doesn't update automatically, okay? The next thing would be to configure the trusted proxies and make sure your device is in one of them so that it doesn't treat all of the devices that approaches the control dashboard to be local host, right? What does this all mean? Well, essentially, as you know, hackers and bad actors can knock in your control dashboard from the internet, since you are exposing yourself with a port, right? Even with Docker as well, right? This is the port that I'm using right now. So I'm exposing myself online, and then bad actors can find this port and they can knock on a door and try to get in. So, if you configure this, then you're saying, oh, whoever knocks on my door, well, I'm not going to let them in. I'm only going to let in whoever I have in this list of trusted proxies, and this should be one of, your device should be one of them. Okay. So if you don't have a clue what I said, just screenshot this right now and type it into ChatGPT or Cursor or Claude Code to help you set this up, okay? Once again, I'm not liable if anything wrong happens with you. I'm just giving you general advice in goodwill. But yeah, one other thing is using a VPN. It just tags you as another country so that bad actors, again, find it harder to locate you and your device. And if you're adding API keys, which many of you might end up doing, make sure to rotate them so that if a bad actor finds these API keys, and they ended up using, well, you already rotated to a new API key that, is new, and, they will need to, go through the same process again to get those new keys, accessing your dashboard again, making it harder for them. And one more thing that I want you to be aware of with these setups is the use of agent skills, okay? So most of you might be aware what these are. It's just a marketing term for that Anthropic has claimed for tools. You have an agent, and an agent can trigger tools. Okay, that's just the Anthropic equivalent of it. But yeah, I mean, that's all it is. So be careful with these, because you don't know who, especially if you're downloading from a repository such as MoltHub. I tried going into MoltHub. Apparently it's not possible anymore. So I don't know, maybe they put it down. But this is a repository where you can download skills or tools for your agents. Okay, and the thing is that you don't know who wrote these skills, and it might be some malicious intent behind them, because these skills are not verified by anybody. Okay, so I recommend you to, before using them, make sure to chuck them in an LLM and ask for any vulnerabilities to your current setup. Okay, let me make this a bit nicer. You don't know what people do, right? Some people are evil, or they want to prank other people. I don't know. So there might be some part of the instruction that says, oh, try to check into this account, with the current tools that the person has allowed me to accept, right? Maybe you blindly accept because some people are vibe coding. They accept the use of the local desktop, or the use of, I don't know, some app that has some personal keys or APIs in them. And then, through the use of agent skills, the agent can go ahead, use this skill, and the skill will instruct the person to go to that app and grab all API keys and then send it to this person via email or something. Okay, so you want to be careful with this. So make sure to chuck them in first to an LLM, understand how the skill works, and then until you're 100% sure that it's not affecting anything, it's not doing some shady shit, then go ahead and use it. But then again, these are all the things that you need to consider before, that I would consider personally before using something like Clawdbot safely, right? So just be aware. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So I told you what Clawdbot, Moltbot, I think now it's called OpenClaw is. Probably going to change names a million more times. So I showed you what it is, what it's currently capable of doing, and the security concerns associated with it. I still think it's a cool toy, because I think that's what it is. It's a cool toy. At the end of the day, it's an AI agent connected to chat applications. I might use it for daily briefs, if anything, if I don't build a Python script first. and use that instead because it has less security concerns. But by all means, try it out, but make sure you apply the security practices that I explained in the video. And yeah, make sure to check any other better security practices. There might be some better ones as that repository keeps upgrading and getting better. And yeah, as I showed you, it's not even able to check the time properly. So I do think we're far from AGI, but it's a snippet of what AGI will look like, to be honest. I mean, I should be able to chat onto WhatsApp and say, you know, do this job for me and it should get it done. We're not there yet. It's a snippet. And yeah, test it out. See if you find any interesting use cases. And yeah, let me know down in the comments below. All right. If you want any videos about this is probably the last time I'm going to talk about it. But if you have any other suggestions about this or any other apart from Clawdbot, let me know in the comments below. Thank you. And I'll see you in a bit. Take care. Stay safe. Bye-bye.